Welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining us. We are going to embark on a truly fascinating journey today through two ancient, deeply profound stories that might actually change the way you look at your own daily behavior. We're going to be looking at the macro, those massive, life-altering decisions, and the micro, the tiny, seemingly insignificant daily habits we all have. Our goal today is clear. We're going to extract some incredible wisdom from these texts and see exactly how it applies to us right here, right now.
So let me ask you this. What actually happens when we just let our guard down? We're going to look at two totally extreme scenarios today to answer that. One involves a high-stakes scandal, massive temptations, and literal royal pardons. And the other? Well, it involves absolutely nothing more than a single tiny blade of grass. Yet, as you'll see, the root cause of the danger in both of these scenarios is exactly the same. Let's dive in.
Section 1. ชายเจ้าชู้กับโทษ4ประการ The Playboy and 4 Consequences.
Okay, so let's start with our first subject. Meet Chemical. In his time, Chemical was essentially the ultimate, ridiculously wealthy playboy. He was the nephew of Anatha Pandika, who was a famous and incredibly influential billionaire back then. Chemical was also impossibly handsome. The texts literally say women simply could not maintain their composure around him. But Chemical, well, he had absolutely zero self-control when it came to his desires. And here is where it gets highly ironic. Because of his total lack of restraint, he kept getting arrested at night by the royal guards. But when they drag him before the king was just too embarrassed to punish him out of deep respect for Chemical's wealthy, virtuous uncle. So the king would just let him go. Did Chemical learn his lesson? Oh, absolutely not. He gets caught a second time, pardoned again. Finally, by the third arrest, his uncle steps in, says enough is enough, and brings him directly to the Buddha. Now, the really crucial point here is how the Buddha addressed this situation. He didn't just scold the guy, he clearly and firmly laid out 4 severe consequences of living a life with zero moral boundaries. He said engaging in this kind of reckless adultery brings, number 1, demerit, meaning bad karma and unskillful actions. 2, restless sleep, because, you're constantly looking over your shoulder. 3, blame, which is the total destruction of your reputation. And finally, hell, a pretty horrific future destination. The Buddha made it crystal clear. Loose morals might bring fleeting joy, but they guarantee an incredibly heavy punishment. Section 2. อดีตชาติของนักมวย The boxer's past life. Here is where the story takes a super fascinating turn. Have you ever wondered where Kamaka's irresistible attractiveness actually came from? It wasn't just random genetics. The ancient texts give us this profound backstory that really makes you think about the nature of our desires. It's basically the ultimate be careful what you wish for scenario. See, in a past life, Kamaka was a champion boxer. He was super devout, and he offered 2 golden flags at a sacred monument. But when he made a wish for his future, he specifically asked to be irresistibly attractive to women. Fast forward to his present life. His wish came perfectly true, but it backfired spectacularly. His physical attractiveness became a total curse purely because he lacked the mental discipline to handle it. He was a prisoner to his own passions. Fortunately, this story does have a triumphant ending. Upon hearing the Buddha lay out the harsh realities of his actions so clearly, Kamaka didn't run away. He actually grasped the teaching with everything he had. He completely transformed his mind, achieved the first stage of enlightenment known as a Sotapanna, and from that day forward, he lived a completely virtuous life. He brought immense peace to a community that was, frankly, completely exhausted by his scandals.
Section 3. ภิกษุกับยักษ์ The Monk and the Kusa Grass.
All right, let's see how this builds into our next story because we are pivoting abruptly from high-stakes royal scandals to a much quieter, seemingly mundane scenario in a peaceful forest. We're zooming out from the macro level of life-ruining temptations all the way down to the micro level of daily habits. Picture 2 monks. The first monk is walking along and accidentally plucks a single blade of grass. Now, for a monk, damaging plant life is a minor offense, and this monk feels genuine remorse for his little slip-up. He confesses it to a fellow monk. But the second monk, he decides to mock him. He thinks the first guy's totally overreacting. So just to prove his point, the second monk foolishly reaches down and violently rips up an entire handful of grass, basically saying, see, there's no danger here at all. When the Buddha heard about this mocking, careless attitude, he delivered this incredibly striking metaphor. He said, just as kusa grass cuts the hand if grasped poorly, monastic life drags one to hell if practiced loosely. Just imagine a really sharp blade of tall grass. If you grip it firmly and correctly, it's completely harmless. But if you hold it loosely or let it slide through your fingers, it will slice right through your skin. The Buddha is telling us that casual carelessness is incredibly dangerous.
Section 4. จับให้มั่น ทำให้อยู่ Grasp firmly, act resolutely.
And this brings us perfectly to the synthesis of our explainer today. We've seen a wealthy playboy committing massive moral failures and a careless monk mocking a tiny, seemingly insignificant rule. So, what connects them? How do these two vastly different stories share one core lesson? The answer is found in a single, powerful concept, sithilum, or laxity. This means doing things half-heartedly. You know the feeling. It's that attitude of, it doesn't really matter. Or just this once. This laxity was the true villain all along. It was laxity that allowed Kamaka to repeatedly destroy his life, and it was laxity that caused the second monk to proudly rip up the grass. Laxity is the enemy of progress.
The texts actually go on to warn us that if we approach our goals with this loose attitude, our actions are going to yield very little fruit. Lax action, defiled practice, a life lived with doubt. When you do things loosely, you aren't actually cleaning up your life. You're just scattering the dust of your bad habits around. Think about it. A half-hearted attempt at goodness is literally like sweeping dirt into the air. It just settles right back down on you.
So, what's the antidote to all of this? It's this incredibly empowering, simple instruction. If a deed should be done, do it firmly. In Pali, the phrase is dalhamenam parakame. If you're going to commit to a principle, hold on to it with a grip of iron. Don't be casual about your character. In the ancient texts, upon hearing this exact, uncompromising advice, many listeners instantly achieved profound states of enlightenment.
Section 5. บทเรียนเพื่อชีวิตที่ดี Lessons for a good life.
So how do we take this ancient wisdom and actually apply it to our modern lives? Because the beauty of these texts is that they aren't just dusty historical anecdotes. They are highly actionable blueprints for living an inspiring life today. Life is going to present you with both the macro and the micro. You're going to face massive temptations like Kemaka, where your career or your relationships or your reputation are totally on the line. But you're also going to face the micro, the tiny daily habits, the little white lies, the minor corners you cut at work, just like the monk with the grass. The secret to success in both, the requirement for firm, resolute mindfulness is exactly the same. You absolutely cannot afford to be lax in either. Which leaves us with this final, vital question. Are you going to let life just slip loosely through your fingers and cut you along the way? Or are you going to grasp your principles firmly today? The choice is entirely yours, but the rewards of a firm grip are absolute peace, clarity, and ultimate freedom. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. May you take these lessons to heart and truly, Kal Hai Tuk Tan Jomi Kwam Suk.